In a hotel, no one understood the millionaire Japanese woman. Until the black maid spoke Japanese. The fluorescent lights flickered ominously in the grand lobby, casting long, eerie shadows that danced across the marble floors. The atmosphere was thick with suspense, as whispers swirled among hotel guests. They craned their necks, eyes flickering toward the opulent lounge where the plush armchairs teetered on the edge of a secret. A millionaire from Japan sat there, wrapped in mystery, her presence commanding yet unreachable. Clad in an elaborate silk kimono, she sipped her tea, the delicate porcelain cup trembling slightly in her hand, just like the tension building in the air. Just as gasps escaped the multitude, the hotel's black maid, a woman of quiet strength, slipped past them. Her expression was transforming from concern to determination, eyes widening as she recognized the wealthy guest. The maid's fingers brushed against a worn note in her pocket, one that had seemingly come from another world, another time. Without any forewarning, she approached the woman. Everyone watched, breathless. What could possibly unfold? No one spoke Japanese, no one had dared to breach the invisible wall that surrounded the millionaire. The air crackled as the maid leaned in and spoke softly, her voice barely a whisper yet filled with urgency. Words flowed, fluid and lyrical, in flawless Japanese. It was like an incantation, unsettling those who listened. The millionaire's eyes flared in surprise, jaw dropping ever so slightly. Confusion shifted to realization. This one moment, this extraordinary intersection of lives, had just begun to ripple through the crowd. Who was this maid? Why could she speak the language that separated them all? Gasps erupted around them, a mixture of shock and intrigue spurring onlookers to lean in closer, hearts pounding. Before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As the maid spoke, the millionaire's expression shifted again, her face painting a portrait of relief mingled with fear. What secrets did they share? The whispers intensified around them, and just like that, the hotel felt smaller, the walls creeping closer as curiosity latched onto every watcher. Could they uncover answers to questions they dared not ask? The maid's eyes glimmered with fire, but beneath it lay the shadow of something deeper, a history tangled with her past and the millionaire's fate. And as footsteps echoed down the hall, urgency draped itself over the scene. What would the maid reveal? What mysteries lingered behind the millionaire's hushed life? Every heart raced, because somewhere in that room, lost stories intertwined, waiting to be unleashed. The tension in the lobby thickened, an almost tangible force. Guests crowded around, eyes darting between the two women. The maid's voice, low and intense, seemed to wrap around the millionaire like a protective shroud. As they spoke, the whispers didn't just swirl, they exploded, igniting wild speculation. What secrets did they share? What were they discussing in that intimate, foreign language? A man near the front leaned in closer, straining to catch a fragment of the conversation. His breath caught as he noticed the millionaire's face transform from shock to a grim acceptance. The maid, strong and resolute, gripped the edge of the table. A tangle of emotions rippled across her features. Was it anger flashing in her eyes, or perhaps fear? Suddenly, the millionaire reached out, her fingers brushing the maid's hand. An unnoticed connection snapped into place, heavy and electric. The room fell silent, even the flickering lights seemed to dim, holding their breath. Time slowed. What had just transpired? Could it be a promise, a plea, or a warning? A new sound reverberated down the hallway, sharp, urgent footsteps. The atmosphere shifted, all eyes darting toward the origin as the hotel doors burst open. A group of men, sharp-suited and intense, stormed in. Their eyes were as cold as the marble they walked on, scanning the lobby. "Where is she?" one of them barked, voice slicing through the air like a knife. The energy in the room morphed into something sharp, panic mingling with fear as it washed over the guests. Who were these men? Why were they looking for the millionaire? The maid's expression hardened as she perceived this new threat. She tightened her grip around the millionaire's hand. "We need to go," she urged, her voice firm now, no longer whispering but commanding. The millionaire's eyes widened, glancing around the room as recognition sparked within her. The two women shared a fleeting but intense moment of understanding. "Now!" the maid insisted, her voice rising to match the urgency in the air. But as they turned to slip away, one of the men pointed directly at them. "You!" he shouted. The spotlight of attention switched, crashing down like an impending storm. All eyes were now on the two women, who stood frozen for a heartbeat, the crowd strained to hear everything, breath held tight in collective suspense. "You can't hide in here," shouted the lead man, striding closer, fury etched into his features. Panic erupted. The guests began to scatter, some cowering behind furniture, others trying to sneak out of the hotel, but no one could take their eyes off what was about to unfold. "Stay where you are!" another man barked, but the crowd erupted in chaos, people shouting and pushing. The air was thick with fear and confusion, each heartbeat pounding like a drum echoing through the night. The millionaire and maid exchanged quick glances, adrenaline racing, knowing they had to act fast. In that moment, everything teetered on the edge of disaster. Would they escape? What secrets did the millionaire hold that had drawn these men to her? Each question burned hotter than the last, threatening to engulf the chaos around them. A few steps ahead, the maid glanced back, her eyes fierce, filled with an ancient determination. A flicker of hope ignited as the doors swung open again, revealing an unexpected ally. "Get down!" a voice erupted, cutting through the chaos, and just like that, the stage was set for a confrontation that could unravel the threads of fate itself. The room erupted in chaos. The sound of panicked voices and rushing footsteps consumed the air, drowning out any sense of reason. The maid's heart raced as she turned toward the voice that had just commanded them to hit the floor. It was a man, barrel-chested and powerful, with a fierce determination etched across his rugged face. Dressed in dark clothing that matched his serious demeanor, he seemed to glide toward the pair like a predator on the hunt. "Get behind me!" he shouted again, his voice cutting through the frenzy. In the split second it took to make the decision, the millionaire took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the situation crush her chest. Without hesitation, she tugged the maid closer, finding solace in their shared tenacity. "Who are you?" she gasped, fear and urgency intermingled in her tone. "Just a friend," he said quickly, scanning the area for a path. "Trust me. We need to move." Before she could debate the wisdom of putting her faith in a stranger, the lead man in the dark suit lunged forward, eyes blazing with a mix of rage and desperation. "You're not getting away that easy," he growled, his looming shadow darkening the light around them. The maid clenched her jaw, instinct screaming. "Stay behind me. I can handle this," she whispered to the millionaire, her voice steady. The millionaire felt a spark of bravery igniting within her, fueled by the maid's unwavering resolve. They stepped into the aisle, the mob's frantic energy reverberating in their ears. With adrenaline thrumming in her veins, the maid squarely faced their pursuers. "Get out of our way!" she shouted in a voice that echoed with authority. The room seemed to momentarily hold its breath. As if the world paused, the men looked at her in surprise. The millionaire's mind blurred with questions. How did the maid's voice, so fierce and fearless, pull the attention away from her? She hadn't known the maid was capable of such strength. The lead man faltered, taken aback. "What did you just say?" he demanded, disbelief creeping into his tone. The maid straightened, holding fast to her resolve. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. Let us pass. You're making a mistake." Before the men could respond, the unexpected ally took a step forward, his presence exuding authority. "You will stand down. Now." His voice was like thunder, demanding obedience. And, in that tense moment, it appeared almost as if the tide had shifted. But the chaos erupting in the rest of the lobby told a different story. Guests surged toward the exits, chairs scraped across the floor, and cries rang out, blending into a cacophony of chaos. The tension hung thick like a cloak, wrapping tightly around all present. One of the men, not easily intimidated, regained his composure and smirked. "You think you're gonna scare us off with a little theatrics? We work too hard for what's ours." The hair on the back of the maid's neck prickled as those words echoed in her mind. There was something more sinister at play. This was about more than just the millionaire. It was personal. "Now!" The ally yelled again, breaking the moment, his voice slicing through the mounting tension. Without hesitating, he motioned urgently for the two women to move. The millionaire grabbed the maid's hand tight, dragging her along. They rushed toward the far end of the lobby, dodging terrified guests and overturned furniture. Just as they reached the double doors leading to the exit, the entire hotel seemed to tilt, shifting as if the world was about to unfold in a new direction. Suddenly, a piercing scream erupted from the back of the room. In that moment, their eyes met, and the maid seemed to read the panicked thought racing through the millionaire's mind. "Don't look back!" she shouted as they burst through the doors into the starlit night, the cool air hitting them like a splash of cold water, but the sound of footsteps thundered behind them, echoing through the once safe haven. They couldn't slow down now. Questions swirled in her head, urging her to find answers even as danger loomed ever closer. "Where are we going?" The millionaire managed to get out, breathless. "To safety," the maid replied, though doubt began to thread through her voice. Little did they know, the revelations waiting beyond the night were only just beginning to surface. The men were not just after the millionaire, they had a secret of their own that would shift everything they knew. What could it be? They sprinted into the night, shadows darting like phantoms. The moon hung overhead, casting an eerie glow on the deserted parking lot. The millionaire's heart thudded in her chest, each beat a reminder of the peril they had just escaped. Adrenaline surged through her veins, mingling with confusion and fear. "Where's the car?" the millionaire gasped, scanning the area for their getaway. Her voice trembled, the chaos still echoing in her mind. "Over there." The maid pointed, leading the charge toward a sleek black sedan parked at the far end. They dashed, the sound of their footfalls drowned out by the escalating noise behind them. As they reached the vehicle, the ally rushed ahead to pull the driver's side door open. "Get in," he ordered, his expression taut with urgency. The maid flung herself into the back seat with the millionaire close behind. The door slammed shut, sealing them inside with a heavy silence that pressed against them. "Go! Go!" the maid urged, her tone sharper than ever. The ally didn't need to be told twice. He jumped into the driver's seat, starting the engine with a roar. The car lurched as he shifted into gear, tires screeching against the pavement as they peeled away from the hotel. "Who are you? What was that back there?" the millionaire panted, struggling to catch her breath and gather her thoughts. "You speak Japanese?" The maid turned to her, eyes wide and determined. "I do. But it's not just that. I know who those men are." Questions piled up like a tangled mess in the millionaire's mind. "What do you mean? How do you know them?" "They are part of a group that wants you gone. They have a very intense interest in your family's fortune but also in you personally." The maid's voice wavered, as if she was grappling with the weight of her words. "There's something deeper here. Something you don't understand." As the city lights blurred past, the millionaire's mind raced. She felt as if she was trapped in a dream and that this danger was part of a larger, twisted tale. "Why would anyone want to go after me?" "I'm just a businesswoman," she said, her tone wavering between disbelief and desperation. You're not just a businesswoman, and you know it, the maid pressed. Your last name carries a history, a legacy tied to secrets that many would kill to possess. You need to understand that. Before she could finish, the sound of a horn blared behind them, sickeningly close. They turned, panic swelling in the car as a dark SUV cut them off, inching dangerously close on the right. "Hold on!" the ally shouted, swerving to the left. Just as he did, a figure emerged from the opposite side of the SUV, a shadowy figure raising a weapon toward them. The millionaire's breath caught in her throat as time seemed to slow, her heart leaping into her throat. "They're going to shoot!" she cried out, panic rising like bile. "Get down!" the maid yelled, her voice fierce as she hunched over, instinctively guarding the millionaire with her body. The ally veered dangerously again, dodging the potential threat. Bullets shattered the glass behind them, sending fragments flying in a spray of sparks. "Faster!" the millionaire pleaded, fear slicing through her words. "We can't let them catch us." But the ally was already shifting gears. They raced through the darkened streets, but their pursuers were relentless, refusing to let them slip away easily. "Hang on," the ally grunted, taking a sharp turn. The car squealed, tires struggling to keep grip on the slick pavement. "I might know a place we can hide." "Where?" the millionaire gasped, her heart pounding, unsure if their sanctuary would ever come. The maid was already working something through her mind, her eyes narrowing with determination. "You need to trust me," the maid urged softly. "But first, we need to find out just what they want and why they will stop at nothing to get it." With the sound of police sirens wailing in the distance, the chase was far from over. Every second felt like an eternity as they surged forward into the unknown, a shadow of uncertainty cloaked over their journey, and in the rearview mirror, a flicker of movement hinted at the true terror waiting to unfold. What secrets lay in the darkness behind them? The ally hurtled the car down the winding streets, the engine screaming as the black sedan raced into the night. The millionaire could feel her heart pounding against her ribs, each thud a reminder that they were not safe yet. "Right here!" the maid called, pointing urgently at a narrow alley. Without hesitation, the ally jerked the wheel, sending them veering into the dimly lit corridor between two tall buildings. The shadows consumed them, wrapping the car in a veil of darkness. The rearview mirror flickered with the headlights of the SUV, glimmering ominously as it passed the alley's entrance, leaving them in a brief, unsettling silence. "Are they gone?" the millionaire whispered, her voice shaking. "For now," the maid replied, her tone strained. "But we can't stay here long. They'll have guys on the lookout." The ally turned off the engine, and the tension in the car thickened. Little was said, but unspoken fear seeped into the air. The weight of the maid's revelation sat heavy on the millionaire's shoulders. "What do you mean about the secrets?" she finally managed, her voice scarcely above a whisper. "What secrets? You said they're after my family's fortune. It has to be about money." The maid shook her head, looking ahead, lost in thought. "It's more complicated than that. Much more. Your family has ties to a history that dates back generations. There are things that you don't know, things that have been hidden from you." "Then tell me," the millionaire urged, desperation creeping into her voice. "I need to understand why they're after me. This isn't just about money, is it?" The maid turned to her, eyes fierce and unyielding. "It's about power, and your family is at the center of it. You have abilities, gifts. The millionaire interrupted, baffled. "What are you talking about?" "That's what they want. What your family has kept buried. That power can't fall into the wrong hands." The ally shifted in the driver's seat, his anxiety palpable. "Keep it down," he cautioned. "We don't want to attract attention." But the millionaire was on fire with confusion and determination. "What power? What could they possibly want from me? I'm just a businesswoman." You're not just a businesswoman, the maid interjected. Your family holds knowledge that many would trade their lives for. They'll stop at nothing to exploit that. That's why you're in danger. A sound shattered the tense stillness. A sharp crack echoed down the alley, like a gunshot. The group froze, instincts taking over. They shared a harrowing glance just as the shrieking of tires approached rapidly. Get down! The ally barked as he ducked instinctively, fingers gripping the steering wheel tightly. The millionaire's stomach turned. She hadn't realized how vulnerable they were. With the gunfire ringing in her ears, she could barely think straight. Suddenly, from the corner of her eye, she saw two figures approach, shadows stretching against the alley walls. I think they're looking for us, the maid said, whispering urgently. We have to move and fast. Yes, but where? The millionaire asked, an icy shiver of dread sending waves through her. There was no time for hesitation. The ominous promise of danger hung close, thickening the air around them. Follow me. The maid urged, unbuckling her seatbelt before ducking down and slipping out of the back seat. The millionaire hesitated but quickly followed, adrenaline surging as she pushed the door open. The cool night air flooded in, causing her to gasp as they hit the pavement. Without any further hesitation, they fled deeper into the shadows. Stay close. The ally hissed, scanning their surroundings. As they dashed around a corner, the millionaire's mind raced. Every pulse of her heart underscored the dread. What exactly were these secrets? What chaos awaited them? An alley stretched before her, and she peered down at the dim light at the end. What now? She panted, turning to the maid. The maid only nodded solemnly, eyes darting around for any signs of their pursuers. And then, just ahead, the glint of a familiar symbol caught her eye, an old emblem carved into a brick wall. One she had seen before in family portraits. With that realization, a chilling truth washed over her. What is hidden in my family's past? She breathed, barely getting the words out as a wave of terror crashed over her. The distant sounds of voices called out in the alley behind them. Each echo was a haunting reminder that the moment of reckoning was drawing near. They needed answers. And they needed them fast. What would the next turn reveal? The moment the millionaire saw the emblem, a knot twisted tighter in her stomach. Memories she couldn't quite grasp flooded her mind, fragments of conversations long buried. What does that symbol mean? She whispered, pressing the maid for answers. It represents everything your family has kept hidden, the maid replied, a hint of fear creeping into her voice. It's linked to your ancestors' legacy and the power they safeguarded. The millionaire's heart raced. Power? What kind of power? She felt exposed, as if the secrets buried within her bloodline were clawing to get out. The shadows around them seemed to inch closer, the darkness thickening with every second they stood there. We need to move, the ally insisted, nudging them down a narrower passage. They could be right behind us. The trio slipped back into the chill of the alley, every footstep echoing ominously against the brick walls. The distant sounds of laughter and music from a nearby club felt like a cruel reminder of how normal life continued just out of reach. What powers? The millionaire blurted, desperation stealing her breath. What do you mean I have gifts? The maid hesitated, her face a mix of determination and trepidation. You will come to understand, but right now it's not safe to explain everything. Time is not on our side. Behind them, a loud crash echoed, a trash can knocked over, followed by shouts. They were getting closer. Panic surged, as raw and suffocating as a vice gripping her chest. Let us go. The ally urged, pulling the millionaire by her arm. They sprinted, hearts thundering in unison. The streetlights flickered as they merged into the busy nightlife, blending in with groups of partygoers. The millionaire ducked her head, masking her face, an instinct honed by fear. Where to? She gasped, breathless from both fear and exertion. Towards the hotel, the maid replied, her tone commanding. We can find shelter there, regroup, and figure out our next move. The hotel loomed ahead, bright and inviting, in stark contrast to the chaos behind them. As they rushed up the steps, an eerie thought nagged at the back of her mind. What awaited them inside? Were their enemies already there, waiting in the shadows? Once inside, the opulence swallowed them: shiny marble floors, chandeliers dripping with crystals, and an air of affluence that felt foreign to her in this moment. For a fleeting second, they blended into the backdrop of luxury. "Quick, this way," the maid guided, leading them to a side door that led to a quiet hallway. The millionaire followed, her breaths coming in shallow gasps, each one laced with uncertainty. "Why this hotel?" she asked, glancing around. "What does it have to do with?" Before she could finish, a loud voice rang out at the reception, punctuating the air with authority. "I need to know where she is." The voice, menacing and familiar, sent a wave of horror through her body. It was one of the men chasing them. Heart in her throat, she pressed against the wall. The maid shot her a look, one filled with urgency. "We need to find a way to stop them." "Stop who?" the millionaire whispered back, fear wrapping around her like a cold shroud. The maid hesitated, taking a deep breath. "There's a way to protect yourself, but it requires knowledge that's been hidden even from you." The sound of footsteps echoed in the hall, growing louder. She had no time. The search was now upon them. Time slipped away, and fear hung thick in the air as the million-dollar question loomed: what was the knowledge that could save her? An undeniable truth pulsated through her. Even if she could find answers, would they bring light or darkness? As the voices approached, she knew one thing for sure: tonight, everything would change. What secrets lay in wait, and who would she become when the dust settled? The panic surged within her, a wild river rushing through her veins. For one terrifying moment, it felt like the walls were closing in. Just as she readied to bolt again, her maid Yuri stepped closer, her voice a hushed murmur wrapped in urgency. "Follow me, quickly. I know a way." Yuri's eyes darted back toward the corner where the ominous voice had echoed. The footsteps grew louder, a countdown ticking away their seconds of safety, adrenaline pulsing through the millionaire's body. She jerked her head toward Yuri, heart racing. "What do you mean you know a way?" "Just trust me," Yuri urged, her expression steeled with determination. "I can get us into the service area behind the hotel. We'll be safe there, at least for now. But we need to hurry." Without waiting for a response, Yuri led the way, slipping through a narrow door marked "Employees Only." They entered a dimly lit corridor, the air thick with the scent of cleaning supplies and grease. The noise from the hotel faded, replaced by an eerie silence punctuated only by their hurried breaths. "What's really going on, Yuri? Why are they after me?" the millionaire pressed, grasping at threads of her unraveling reality. Yuri hesitated, and in that fleeting moment of insecurity, the darkness felt even more daunting. "They want you because you are more than you know. Your family's legacy is dangerous. They will stop at nothing to control it." "Control what?" The fear clawed at the millionaire's throat, tightening its grip. "The emblem. It's a key." Yuri's voice trembled, each word laced with a trepidation that cut deeper than the previous. "It unlocks knowledge. Knowledge of powers that can influence fate itself." The weight of Yuri's words struck hard, a chill racing down her spine. But before she could respond, a thud echoed through the corridor, followed by the creaking of a door. Time felt frozen. "They're inside," Yuri hissed, urgency morphing to terror. "We need to move." She reached for a door at the end of the hallway. With an unsteady hand, the millionaire turned the handle. It creaked open to reveal a darkened room, filled with rows of forgotten furniture cloaked in sheets. Shadows danced eerily from a flickering bulb, creating a surreal atmosphere tinged with the unknown. "I don't like this," she whispered, peering into the abyss. "Neither do I," Yuri replied, her voice a mix of fear and resolve, "but it's our only option." The footsteps were closer now, voices breaking through the shadows. Split up. She can't have gone far. One of them shouted, filled with a sinister thrill. Yuri! The millionaire urged, panic swelling. What do we do? Stay quiet. I'll handle this, Yuri said, her demeanor shifting as if she were stepping into a role formatted for battle. I need you to trust me. Before she could respond, Yuri stepped into the shadows, inching toward the door. The millionaire's heart raced, suddenly filled with dread. She watched, the lump in her throat thickening while trying to swallow back the scream threatening to escape. Just as Yuri disappeared into the darkness, the door crashed open, eyes flaring in disbelief. The shadows pulled tight around the millionaire, her mind racing through a flurry of thoughts. What if Yuri didn't come back? What if they found her before she could understand the truth? The sound of their footsteps echoed, a haunting chorus of impending doom, when she heard a sudden voice speaking in a language she barely recognized but understood. It was Yuri, her words flowing like water, the syllables wrapping around a foreign power. What was happening? The millionaire swallowed hard, the bitter taste of fear mixing with a flicker of hope. If Yuri could speak in a way that turned the tide, could it be that she, too, held a hidden resource within herself? The revelation sent a charge through her veins. Whatever haunted her bloodline, whatever strength was buried deep, maybe tonight it would have to awaken before it was too late. She took a step back when a figure appeared before her, eyes glinting with anticipation. Where is she? The voices outside surged, a deadly wave pressing against the bounds of the room. Time was up. Would Yuri's gamble pay off? Would she discover the million-dollar truths buried deep within her bloodline before darkness overwhelmed her? The room felt alive, every shadow throbbing with anxiety, as the figure advanced. The flickering light exposed the sharp angles of a face contorted with ambition, and a chill washed over her. Where is she? He repeated, more impatiently now, scanning the room for any sign of Yuri. The millionaire's heart thudded loudly in her chest, drowning out the distant sounds of chaos. She could barely breathe. Panic bubbled up as the realization hit her. Yuri was risking everything. The weight of the truth felt insurmountable. Yuri, she whispered, the name rolling off her tongue like a prayer. The man's eyes glinted dangerously as they landed on her. You're the one they seek. You must know something. Know what? She managed to stammer, her voice sinking into the shadows. I don't know anything. He took a step closer, and the air pressed around her like a vice. The emblem, he spoke slowly, as if savoring each word. We know your family's history. What you hold is a key, the answer to unlocking the power they will use against us all. Suddenly, the ground beneath her began to feel less solid. She shook her head, confusion swirling in her mind. You have the wrong person. I'm just an ordinary woman. Ordinary? He scoffed. You are anything but. They've made sure of that. But the truth doesn't hide. It fights back. The desperation in his tone sent a shiver down her spine. She found herself contemplating her family's past, the odd stories told late at night by her grandmother, filled with spirits and ancient secrets. Were they really just drunken tales spun from the sands of time, or was there more lurking within the tales? As if reading her thoughts, he took another step forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. They think you don't know. But you have the power, they fear it. You have to embrace it, or they will use it against you. The door behind him burst open. More footsteps, loud and menacing. The man stiffened, eyes darting to the commotion outside. We don't have much time. Yuri is out there fighting to protect you. You must find the emblem and use it. Only then can you unlock your true potential. Wait. Where do I? She began, but before she could finish, he lunged, grabbing her wrist with an urgency that sent shockwaves down her arm. Trust yourself. He implored, his grip tightening as the noises outside grew nearer. They're coming. With a sharp tug, he pulled her toward a crumbling window at the far end of the room. The stories of her lineage cluttered her mind like old papers in a drawer, things she hadn't thought mattered until this very moment. What secret lay buried within her? The echo of ancestral strength beckoned her. The moment she understood, a flicker of determination ignited in her. The emblem, the key to everything she had yet to grasp. In that heartbeat, she felt it, a whisper of power urging her to rise. I have to go, but I can't do it alone. He reluctantly released his hold but nodded, an understanding passing between them. Find the truth. It is within you. With a swift glance to the door, he added, I'll create a distraction. Just get out. She took a deep breath and steadied herself, adrenaline hot in her veins. I'll find Yuri and the emblem, she promised, her voice stronger than before. Without a moment's delay, she darted past him and into the shadows of the corridor, her heart pounding like a drum. Each step resonated with a newfound impetus, every corner turned pulsed with urgency. She pushed herself deeper into the service area, leaving the chaos behind her. The cold sweat ran down her back, but something flickered at the edges of her consciousness. It whispered of strength, heritage, and resolution. Where was Yuri? The hallway splintered into multiple directions, and each one felt like a gamble. Would she find the maid? Would she uncover the legacy entwined with her name? As she hesitated for a fleeting moment, a crash reverberated through the air behind her. The danger was real, she had to move now. Tension surged in her chest. She pressed forward, ready to embrace whatever truths awaited her in the depths of this gauntlet of shadows. Could she unlock the mysteries of her bloodline in time to save herself, and those she hadn't even realized she wanted to protect? The race against fate had just begun. The corridor felt infinite, the walls seemingly closing in with every heartbeat. She could hear the shadows creeping up behind her. The footsteps, heavy with authority, were a harbinger of the chaos that brewed just a few steps away. For a moment, dread washed over her, clashing with the flame of determination ignited by the man's words. She had to find Yuri. She darted to the left, her feet echoing against the cold tiles. The scent of polished wood and lingering cigarette smoke swirled around her, mixing with fear. Was it the past she was running from or toward? The memories of family stories woven at her grandmother's knee surged back, a tapestry of ancient power and curses, each thread seemingly woven with the very essence of her lineage, but there was no time to ponder illusions of family legacy. The next door loomed ahead, slightly ajar, frantically beckoning her. She pushed through, silence swallowing her whole as the door creaked open. The room beyond was dark, save for the slivers of moonlight slicing through the curtains. She held her breath. There, in the corner, stood a figure. Yuri. Her voice trembled, barely escaping her lips, but the figure didn't move. The silhouette slowly turned. It was not Yuri, but another maid, her face half hidden in shadow. You need to leave, the maid whispered, her voice urgent, yet strangely calming. They're looking for you. Where's Yuri? She demanded, fighting to keep her voice steady. The flutter of doubt in her stomach tightened. She's in trouble. The maid stepped closer, revealing her features. A woman of Asian descent, her hair pulled back tight, eyes glimmering with an intensity that spoke volumes. You are more than you realize. You must embrace what is yours. The words sent tremors through her, they echoed the man's declarations. The urgency was suffocating. How do you know? She whispered, terrified of the truth. Because I can hear the language of spirits. As if summoned by her confession, a gust of wind swept through the room, slamming the door shut behind them. The sound of footsteps grew louder, drawing closer, dark shadows began to slink beneath the door. Listen to me, the maid said, her voice low yet firm. The emblem, it's hidden. You must find it before they do. Where? Her heart raced. How can I unlock it? What does it even look like? Close your eyes, the maid instructed, the atmosphere thick with an intangible energy. Feel, don't think. Trust your instincts. She hesitated for a heartbeat, glancing towards the door as it rattled. Time was slipping away. Following the maid's command, she squeezed her eyes shut, envisioning the stories from her past, the shimmering tang of her grandmother's tales, the dances of spirits that echoed through the ages. Images assaulted her mind, a glimmer of gold, intricate patterns like flowing water, symbols that seemed to wrestle with her, both familiar and foreign. I see it. She gasped. I can feel it. Then let it guide you, the maid replied. They will be upon us any second. A crash erupted outside, and the door trembled again. It wouldn't hold much longer. As adrenaline surged through her veins, she opened her eyes to the maid. I can't just leave you here. Go. The determined glimmer in the maid's eyes burned fierce. You are the key to your destiny. Find the emblem. Trust yourself and Yuri. We will meet again. With a final glance, she turned and bolted toward the back window. Darkness surged behind her as she flung it open. The cold night air greeted her, laced with the sounds of chaos still echoing in the distance. She climbed out into the infinite unknown, feeling the weight of her family legacy crash against her, a tide she had never expected to confront. Yet a sudden thought struck: was Yuri safe? Where would she find her? The emblem had to be unearthed before it was too late. With every ounce of energy within her, she ran into the darkness, escaping one danger for another. Could she unravel the clues of her past before the forces chasing her caught up? Would she find out if the whispers of history held her family's true power? Tension wrapped around her as she pressed deeper into the night. The clock was ticking. The moon bathed the deserted streets in a ghostly glow as the millionaire sprinted away from the hotel, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and purpose. Determination fueled her as she flicked her gaze around, searching for a hint, anything that could lead her back to Yuri, her staunch protector and newfound ally. The shadows swirled like whispers around her, the night felt alive. Each step echoed like a countdown, demanding she take action. She took a moment, breathless, forcing herself to concentrate. Think, she murmured to herself, recalling Yuri's words. The emblem, the key to her legacy. She had to find it. Her thoughts drifted to the stories her grandmother spun late at night, tales of their ancestors who wielded an unknown strength. Memories flooded back, hints hidden in the beautiful patterns of family crests and symbols that adorned the walls of her childhood home. With a jolt, an idea formed. She made her way toward her family's South Old estate, a building long abandoned but filled with remnants of the past. The murmurs grew louder in her ears as she moved, a call to duty from the spirits that had woven her lineage. The silhouette of the old estate emerged, its grandeur marred by time, and it drew her in like a moth to a flame. With trembling hands, she pushed the creaking door open. Inside, darkness greeted her, creeping shadows licking at her heels. She held her breath, using the memories to guide her footsteps. Drawing deeper into the house, she could feel an energy pulsating through the air, an electric tingle that sent shivers down her spine. There it was, her grandmother's room, untouched for years. Dust motes floated in the air, golden under the slivers of moonlight filtering through the curtains. With urgency, she stepped inside. Her heart raced as she scanned the room, her eyes landing on a familiar tapestry. It draped across an old chest, the intricate design recognizable, the same emblem. Gingerly, she approached, heart hammering. Her fingers brushed over the delicate stitching, the emblem unfolding tales of strength and courage beneath her touch. Kneeling, she pried open the chest, revealing decades of secrets hidden within. Her grandmother's relics shimmered, jewelry, letters, and among them, a small, ornate box. The moment she lifted it from the depths, a rush of energy surged through her. It was the emblem. She felt an ancient connection swell within, aligning her spirit with her ancestors. With shaky hands, she opened the box, and inside lay a beautifully carved amulet, intricate and radiant, its design echoing the emblem that swirled and danced in her memory. Now, I need to find Yuri, she whispered, determination surging anew. Suddenly, the floorboards creaked. She froze. Are they here? The shadows loomed heavier, and she could hear muffled voices drifting from the hallway. No time to waste. With the amulet clasped tightly in her palm, she bolted to the window, hesitating just long enough to glance back at the memories draped in light around her. "Goodbye, grandmother," she whispered, the weight of her legacy hanging delicately in the air. She climbed out, landing on the grass outside. Gritting her teeth against the chill of the night, she raced back toward the hotel, determined to regroup with Yuri and unearth the truth together. Just as she entered the parking lot, a familiar SUV screeched to a halt. The fear within her surged to a boiling point as the lead man leaped out, fury radiating from him. "There you are!" he shouted, eyes wild and electric. Time slowed as adrenaline surged. She clutched the amulet tightly. Inspiration ignited. Could it be used? With a defiant roar, she held it up. "You have no idea what you're after," she shouted back, the words spilling from her like an unfiltered truth. "You want what's hidden within my family's legacy. You'll never take it from me." The man halted, incredulous. Fear flickered in his eyes as if a light had dawned on him. "You don't know what you're playing with," he snapped, reclaiming his composure, but there was a hint of uncertainty behind his bravado. Before she could react, a figure emerged from the shadows. Yuri, bruised but fierce, stepping beside her. "You shouldn't have come back," she warned, eyes darting between the man and the millionaire. "This is too dangerous." "No," the millionaire countered, her conviction unwavering now. "This is about time we stood our ground together." As they faced the darkness, an electric spark pulsed with the amulet, enhancing their shared resolve. She could feel the history beneath her skin, intertwining with Yuri's sacred spirit, growing stronger. The man lunged, a sneer twisting his face, but as he closed the gap, an undeniable force struck him backward, cascading through the air like ripples on water. The amulet activated, a shield protecting them, radiating a warmth that grew with each heartbeat. "Run!" Yuri yelled, and in synchronized motion, they dashed towards the shadows of the hotel, chasing the promise of freedom. With the amulet lighting their path, a glimmer of hope burned bright, illuminating the frantic fear and stubborn courage that swelled between them. No longer running from the shadows, they were no longer just players of their past. They would rewrite their story, unearthing the legacy that held them captive, and break free from the chains entwining their fates. As they raced into the night, hearts synchronized in their fear and hope, one thing was clear: they were ready to fight for a future unwritten. Together, this is where the story ends, but remember, their adventure holds the secrets of strength, courage, and the power within. If you've loved this story and want to experience more thrilling journeys, you need to subscribe now to keep up with our next exclusive tales. Smash that like button to feed the algorithm and ensure we bring more stories to life. Flood the comments section with your incredible reactions and theories about the ending. We can't wait to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how it all unfolds. Your support makes all the difference.